All right, guys.
Just thoughts on your draw, where you're going, who you're playing, just.
Well, I
Okay.
think it's a hard, everybody's gonna say they have a hard draw. I think we got a hard draw, when you think of Samford, what have we labored with the most this year? It's teams that shoot a ton of threes, and then we have a hard time making up the difference. And they shoot 39% as a group. They've hung over 100, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times this year. I don't know if we've scored 95 times this year. Of course, I know the competition in some of those games is different, but they can score. They shoot a ton of threes. Their 5-man obviously makes 45% of his threes, and so on paper, looking at it and not knowing all their personnel the way that we will here shortly, I'd say it's an extremely difficult matchup.
Sorry.
And then if you're fortunate enough to win the first one, then who is it in the second game?
Gonzaga, McNeese State.
Yeah, and McNeese State's won 31 games, and Gonzaga's Gonzaga. So yeah, there's nothing easy about the bracket that we're in, but I'm sure other 4 seeds probably feel the same thing in their respective brackets too.
And do you have a health update on Kevin and Hunter?
Yeah, Hunt's doing great. He's actually practiced the last 2 days, non-contact. So we've done a lot of dry stuff, so that way he could be out there, and then he'll go contact tomorrow. Kevin, I haven't seen do anything. The entire game plan on him was hopefully on Monday he can be good to go. And if he's not good enough to go tomorrow, then he won't be, and then we'll hope on Tuesday. But I don't know as much about Kevin as I do Hunt.
Coach, how familiar are you with Coach McMillan? His story is remarkable for Samford. Do you know him at all?
No, I don't know. Of course, I know of him, but I don't know Coach. But I do know that he's obviously had some pretty good success there. And what have they won the league? The last 2 years or 3 years?
Last 2 years in the tournament this year.
Yeah. So yeah, he's done a great job, and they let it fly. So I know one thing, he gives his kids confidence.
And one other question, if I may, how frustrating is it, not just for you, but for coaches in general, to build something and then because of injuries at the end of the year where you want to peak, sometimes it can be tough for anybody. Look at Houston with their front court.
Yeah, and I don't know how bad Roberts is, but I don't even, did he even play in the second half yesterday after they got behind? Of course, what a win by Iowa State, but and then them losing the freshman early on, that totally, it didn't deplete their front line, but it came close to it, and they're gonna have to play small now. But it's tough. That's what depth does. Depth allows you to play through some of those things. What we saw happen to Florida today, even though I didn't see it, I heard about it, was, tragic. And you hate that. You just hate it for everybody. It's certainly more for the individual than anybody else, but it's part of the sport. If Mahomes gets hurt in weeks 16 or 17, it totally changes the outlook for the Chiefs too, and it's just part of it, and you have to play through it. And we've had our fair share this year. I've never had 2 All-Americans both be out at the same time, but I know that we should be much better this week than what we have been.
Where did you think they would seed you, and where did you think they would send you, and how do you feel about both of those things?
Well, I didn't have any feel on where they would send us, none. I thought we'd be a 4 seed. I think the thing that could have possibly thrown it off would be, does Wisconsin, if they beat Illinois, did they move up to the 4 line, off the 5 line? There could be a couple of things like that happen, but I didn't think, and then it would have impacted one of the 4s. I don't think it would have impacted us because they said we were 14th, right? Mm-hmm. So 14th meaning we were the second 4 seed. So I think we would have been safe on the 4 line regardless. But there wasn't any chance in my mind that we'd be anything other than a 4 seed.
What do you think about going to Salt Lake? A lot of years you go to Des Moines, Omaha.
But you know why we go to those places, don't you? Because we're the highest seed. We get, they actually send you a letter if you're a 1 seed. Where do you want to go? you know, if you're a 2 seed, where do you want to go? And we told them where we wanted to go, and 4 seeds don't carry as much weight as the 1 seeds do. So I think Salt Lake's fine. You know, we've been there before. It's a fantastic arena, and so I think that's fine. I don't know what the altitude is in Salt Lake. Has anybody looked it up yet? And you guys are doing your job, huh?
I know when K-State played there, and they played a double or triple overtime game, the first game against Xavier, their coaches talked about how they were just gassed when they had to go play.
But it's not near that much. It's not.
42-65.
Yeah, 42 is not 7,000 like Laramie, or it's not like Denver or anything like that. So I remember playing in they could have been gassed because of the double overtime game 2-0. But I remember playing there a couple of years ago, and I don't remember that factoring in to the situation.
What was the team's reaction in the room?
I think everybody was, you know, were we happy? We're happy that, yeah, our name's called. There's a lot of teams out there not happy right now, but I don't think there was much of a reaction, because I think it was pretty much expected. What was what not known was just who you're playing or where you're playing them. And certainly, you know, Samford got our attention right off the bat when I started seeing some of their stats and reading it to our guys.
You're out early in the Big 12 tournament, or earlier than you used to be out earlier. With the longer extended time, does it feel like a reset button or something for you guys that, like, okay, kind of refreshed and ready to go like into this
I
season?
think so. You know, we've lost in the first round of the tournament. You know, when we were a 1 seed, and what year was that? 17. We lost in the first round when we were a 1 seed in 10. So, you know, it's happened before. When I say 1 seed, I mean in the NCAA tournament. I think, you know, I hate to say this, and I'm not trying to take away negativity, but those teams that celebrated today, that won their league championship, their celebration lasted for maybe less than an hour. Everybody has to reset and move on, and I think that's kind of what you're talking about. I think the league championships are great, and if you're going to play in the finals, you might as well win. That's how I've always looked at it. And Iowa State should be ecstatic, but Iowa State was able to celebrate for 12 hours, and then it's over. I mean, nobody's going to talk about them beating Houston after today. Whereas the NCAA tournament, obviously, from past experience, I know people talk about it longer than a day or two. So we need to be our best now, and I think the time off was good for us.
Coach, you played in wasn't it triple overtime game in the championship, the Big 8, and then you had to play
Double overtime.
Double overtime. How were you
92, I think 92-90. Yeah.
How'd that affect you guys going into the tournament?
I don't, Neil, God, I was 22 years old back then. I drank a lot of beer between then and now. I can't remember how it affected us. I know that we lost in the first round in the next game in Corvallis, but I'm not sure it had anything to do with winning that tournament. I think it had more to do with we probably celebrated longer than the 12 hours that was prescribed as a proper amount of time to celebrate.
Coach, a couple of teams from the league did not make it that were on the bubble. Obviously, Oklahoma, we saw, I guess, was the first team out, but then also Kansas State. What's your reaction to that?
I'm not in on the no, but you know, obviously Oklahoma would have been in if there hadn't been so many upsets to yesterday and today. I mean, they were talking, and you guys heard the same thing I did, that 5 teams made the tournament that would not have made it that played in their championship game. So that, you know, that knocks off some people, and usually there's maybe 1 or 2, 3 at the most that happens a year or two. So I feel bad for OU for sure. K-State, obviously, you know, they beat us over at their place this year, and everything. I didn't study it enough to know exactly where they stood, but everything I saw with Oklahoma was they were in until today, and then that's got to be heartbreaking for those kids.
As you enter the postseason, you guys have been ranked in the top 10, 12 almost all year. A little bit, you've lost 4 out of 5. Where do you stand on this team? how confident are you they can make a run?
Oh, I think we can make a run. I think we can still play great basketball. I think we will. I think there's been, teams deal with different things that the public will never know the things that you're dealing with because they're all in-house. And so I think with our depth situation, I think some things in-house, some things that have occurred have been magnified to make them maybe a bigger deal than what it actually is. And so I think a chance to reset and get focused and a chance to get more healthy, I think will go a long ways with how go a long ways for how we play moving forward. And certainly, we put ourselves in we didn't put ourselves in the best position, but there's a lot of teams out there that would love to be in the position that we're in.
Who do you like as a possible national champion? Any obvious favorites?
Well, there's some 1 seeds out there, I think, that would be favored because they're 1 seeds, but who knows? There may be a 4 seed out there that could make a run. I think last year there was, and I don't think anybody played them to single digits the whole tournament, so we'll see what happens.
Anything else? Yeah, you're here.
Bill, can you tell if this team is more confident shooting the ball in practice, or is that something that you're gonna need to see happen against Samford to really know?
Yeah, I think that when we get Hunter back, I think he automatically gives you confidence. He's different that way, and he'll give us more this time of year than ever. But to case in point, you got to step up. You got to make more than what we've done. We've made. I don't want to misspeak. I think 6 for our last 43, 42, something like that. And a couple of those were by walk-ons. So that's not exactly, lighting it up, but I know that we're better than that, and we'll shoot it better. I'm concerned always about, it comes down to making shots, but the bottom line is, a lot of times it's easier to keep somebody from doing something than it is you actually doing it yourself. And, that's the way shooting is sometimes. You defend the arc, you don't have to make as many threes.
You've obviously got a couple guys with national title game experience and that kind of thing, but you've also got 5 or 6 guys that haven't played in the tournament before. Does that factor? Do you have to do different prep for those guys? Obviously freshmen, but Nick also and guys like that.
Well, there would be Nick and El Marco and Jamari, Johnny, and Parker.
Right.
Did Parker?
I didn't know if he did. I didn't think so.
That's 5 guys. I don't know that we'll practice differently, but we'll certainly show them enough stuff where they'll have a pretty good feel what it's all about.
Did you see any extra reaction, especially Nick? He big part of the reason he came here, he wanted to play in the tournament.
Yeah, we talked about that a lot yesterday. We had a little team outing yesterday, and we talked a lot about that. And Nick pointed out that was one of the biggest reasons why he came here, was to play in the tournament. I said, well, you can play in it, you can play in it and have it be a lasting memory. The thing about it is, at the end of the season, when it's over, it comes so abruptly for everybody. And what you want to do, you just want to delay that as long as you possibly can.
Anything else? Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, guys.